What do you do when you don't know what to do? In other words, what do you do when you have decision paralysis? That is what we're talking about in today's episode. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Wellness Simplified podcast. Simple wellness tips to help you improve your life without turning it upside down. With your host, award-winning fitness instructor, nutrition coach, and wellness expert, Susie Fevens.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Wellness Simplified podcast. As a reminder, this is now a twice a month podcast instead of a weekly podcast. So you can expect new episodes 2 times a month, and hopefully you will look forward to those. If not, well, I don't know why you're here. On that note, thank you so much to everybody who listened and those who sent messages about my last episode where I talked about the mental breakdown that I had earlier this summer. We're very much still in it. I am much better. I'm much better than I was. However, there's still a ways to go. So I'm not going to pretend that everything is hunky-dory and super fab, but we're getting there. Things are moving in the right direction. But this is your reminder that, sometimes we think that if we have burnout or we have some sort of breakdown or just really run down, that all we need is a couple days off, a week off, and then we're good to go. That is not the case, my friends. It takes months to recover from any type of event like that. I mean, it takes months to recover from a broken bone or from a physical injury. Why should it only take a couple days to recover from some sort of mental situation, right? We expect way too much of ourselves. So yes, I am much better, but there is a ways to go. And as a result, I know that I have a reduced capacity and I am trying to take care of that. So I am not doing many, social gatherings these days. I am sitting pretty close to home most of the time, hanging out with my plants and my cats and my husband. And, just getting these new businesses up and running while maintaining the current one. So always a time around here. But I wanted to talk to you about what to do when you don't know what to do, which is something that I have found myself facing many a time in the last couple months. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about ways to overcome that or get through that or make your way through that, however you want to word it. So that is what we're going to dive into here today. Now, I've talked about this topic in different ways in the podcast before on some of the episodes regarding overwhelm and how to manage your to-do list. And this isn't dissimilar from that, but we're going to expand on it a little bit. So I'm going to use myself as an example because, what better example do I have than myself? If you listen to my last episode, you'll know that I have reduced the fitness wellness side of my business to about 10 hours a week, 10, 11. It can vary a little bit from week to week, but anywhere between 9 and 11 hours a week. I'm also launching a bookkeeping and profit consulting business. So there's a lot of stuff that has to happen in order to set up a new business. And I'm also officially launching my calligraphy and creative business, Fonts and Florals, which is calligraphy and illustration and crafty business, i.e. signs and wreaths and things like that. So I've got 3 businesses, one that is well established, one that you know me from, the bookkeeping and finance side of things, and then the artistic side of things. So that's a lot right off the bat. So we're just cruising along on the fitness side of things, which means I've dropped the ball a little bit in promoting some upcoming classes and programs, but that's okay because you can't do all of the things all of the time. So I'm okay with just coasting on this for a while. And then I am working really hard to get the bookkeeping side set up, which of course means I need to have contracts, I need to have insurance, I need to have a business bank account, which honestly has been one of the most time-consuming parts of this whole thing. Registering businesses, yada, 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 yada. And then on the other side, on the creative side, that one is going to be more of a gig business, so not one that I am actively working in all of the time, but here we are coming into the fall season and then into the holiday season, which of course is a very big season in the creative artistic industry. So I am trying to both get my website set up and get my bank accounts and all that stuff set up, and while also like trying to remember, okay, I need to get the bookkeeping thing up because that's like the year-round gig. Of course, the fitness thing is year-round, but we already talked about that, and we're just going to let that kind of coast for a little bit. But creative people will tell you like up to 70% of your income from an artistic store, an artistic career, comes from the holiday season. So like I can't sleep on the fact that Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas are coming up. So I've released one small set of wreaths. I have another one, like my parents' gazebo is just packed full of different grasses and stuff for me to make another set of wreaths, but then I need to get going on Christmas. So as you can see, a lot of things going on. So I had to keep on top of the fitness stuff. I got to get this bookkeeping business rolling. I need to try and capitalize on the upcoming holiday season while also, maintaining some work-life balance and taking care of my mental health, because as I said, things still aren't 100% there. So then you get stuck in this, what do I work on? What do I work on? Because the holiday season is a flash in the year and then it's gone for another year. Bookkeeping thing, I need to get all of my stuff set up so that I can start bringing in new clients. I've got a list of people who want me to contact them as soon as I'm open. Like I need to get going on this. And then of course the fitness stuff, I still got to show up and teach my classes. So I have been battling some overwhelm. I've been battling some decision-making fatigue and paralysis, and I've been battling. And I thought, it's worthy that we talk about that today, because I know I'm not the only one. So let's talk about some of the ways that I have been trying to combat all of those issues with, varying levels of success. At first, the decision making was very easy. There were some very clear-cut things that I needed to do to get things going. I needed to reserve the business names. I needed to register the businesses. I needed to get domain names, etc. So once I got that initial flurry of activity done, then that's when I really started to be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. And I have joked with some people that I feel like I'm just running in circles. And we have established that really I'm running in a spiral, because it's very much I do one thing, I'm unable to complete that thing until something else is done, so I move on to the next thing. And then I do part of that, but then again, that can't be completed until something else is done. And I go and I go and I go. So I'm making steps forward. I start at the very center of the spiral and I'm waking my way out, but it's taken many more revolutions around than I was really anticipating. A great example of this is I am a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. And one of the benefits of being a QuickBooks Pro Advisor is you get to have your name and your firm or whatever listed on the QuickBooks website. So I needed a new headshot to do that, because my current businessy web headshot was quite old. I still had bangs and I grew those out a few years ago. So I had to take some new headshots. So I did that a few weeks ago, which was actually 2 weeks ago from today, which was a very hot day and not a great day to be in front of studio lights, but we got it done. So went to set up my Pro Advisor profile page. Spent a whole bunch of time making it what I wanted, hit send or submit or whatever, and they tell me, and good on them, they say that they need to confirm my identity before they can publish it, which, that's great, because you are working with people's finances. You should, prove you are who you are. So I had to show proof of ID. So fine, I submitted that, and they said that they'd get back to me within 1 to 5 business days, and once it was approved, then it would be up there. All right, perfect. Can't do anything else with this. So let's move on to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn was a total mess, because of course everything on my LinkedIn page was directly fitness related, and now I needed to make some adjustments. I wanted to keep my fitness stuff, I wanted to keep my blogger, social media influencer stuff, but I needed to tie the business stuff back in a bit more. So I had to go through and I had to make a whole lot of changes. And on LinkedIn, if you're familiar with the platform, you can list your credentials. And one of the things I could do is I could list my certifications through QuickBooks, and then I could link to my profile. But wait, my profile does not exist because they have not approved it yet. So I can't finish updating LinkedIn until that gets done. Okay, so I can't do anything else here. I've done all I can do, and then I move over to my website, and then I start building the website. And yes, thankfully, I have the skills and the ability to build my own website and do these things that will save me money in the short term. Because when you're starting a new business, you don't necessarily have unlimited funds, and fortunately I have the skills that I'm able to do that for myself. But then we come right back to the same problem where I can't link to that page. I need this, I need that, and it's just been, like I say, going in circles. So once that profile got published, I could then go back to LinkedIn and add that link, and then I could go to my website, I could add that link, and so on and so forth. So I have very much felt like I was running in circles. And another part of this is, up until recently, SusieFevens.ca was just a fitness website. And I wanted to keep SusieFevens.ca as my main hub because it's my name and that's what people are going to know, and that's what people are going to reference and refer is my name. They're not going to reference Susie Fevens Bookkeeping and Business Solutions. They're just going to say my name. So I had to figure out, how am I going to do this? Because my in-person fitness classes registration is through SusieFevens.ca, but it's weird for people to go to a fitness website and have it be a finance thing as well. So I'm like, okay, fine. So then I set up some subdomains. So now we have finance.susiefevens.ca and we have fitness.susiefevens.ca. So when you go to susiefevens.ca, you now can choose which site you want to go to, the fitness, the finance, or the fonts and florals. I told you I'm going all in on the F's. So you can click to that. So I was able to keep my fitness class shop on susiefevens.ca, but the actual fitness website lives offsite. And that sounds like a confusing bunch of gobbledygook, but for you, the user, if you were to go there, you're not going to notice the changing in URL. It's going to happen automatically. You're just going to click a button and it's going to take you to the fitness website. You'll click another button to go to shop and it'll take you back to the other one. It's all fine and good, but it was another thing I had to figure out what I was doing. So this is just a very small example of the circles I have been running around in. Again, I am so fortunate and so privileged that I am able to figure this stuff out and do this stuff myself. I think about all the people who try to set up new businesses and don't know what to do or where to go or how to use computers and build websites and all of that. So I've been very lucky, but I feel like a bit like, I would say losing my mind, but like I already lost it. So I lost that. Anyway, let's talk about the topic at hand. What to do when you don't know what to do. So how did I choose what I was going to do in those instances? Well, I had to make the first decision and I had to just choose one thing and go with it, which isn't very useful information. For me to just say, pick one thing and go with it, that's not terribly helpful. So once I did the basic things that were clear-cut, need to be done, and then I was left with a mind full of, I don't know what to do from here, this is how I've been breaking it down. Number one, I know I'm working 10-ish hours a week on the fitness business. I schedule that out first. Those are the things, that is the existent business that is paying my bills. Those things need to happen. Those go on my schedule first. And then I look at the rest of my week and I figure out which days I'm going to work and approximately how many hours I'm going to spend on each thing. So even though the creative business is a hotter thing this time of year, it's still getting less preferred treatment than the finance because that is more important. Right? Like if I'm going to choose one over the other, if I have to choose one over the other, I have to choose the bookkeeping business. That is the one I have to choose. That is going to be ideally a large part of my week-to-week job, whereas the creative is just going to be more of a gig thing. And I know that this is a departure from our topic, but I think it's a helpful tool for anyone who's trying to figure out how to chunk their time. So I've got 3 businesses. We know that I'm spending about 10 hours a week on the fitness business. I personally know that I want to work around 30 hours a week. That is ideally the number of hours I want to be working. So if 10 hours of that is for the fitness, that leaves me with 20 hours. And I'm going to say that I want to spend about 15 of those hours in the finance end and approximately 5 hours in the creative. And understandably, those can change a little bit. Some weeks I might spend more on the finance and less in creative. And sometimes I might spend more in the finance and more in the creative, like looking at the holiday season ahead. There may be weeks where I'm making Christmas wreaths that I'm spending like 15 hours a week in the creative, 15 in bookkeeping, and still 10 in fitness. So I'm working 45 hours a week, which is more than what I would like to be working, but also is like not crazy. Lots of people work 45 hours a week all of the time. So giving myself that room, but that is my general basis. It's important when you have multiple things on the go that you have some guidelines. And for me, it's 10 hours fitness, 15 finance, 5 creative. So I've broken up that hierarchy of what's most important. And of course, even though fitness is second in the number of hours, currently it's number 1 in my focus. So I have to make sure that I schedule out those 10 hours of fitness work before I do anything else, because that is the existing business. And then I look at my 15 hours of finance and then the 5 hours of creative. And because that's only 30 hours and there's still lots of room for fluctuations as needed. Okay, so I have figured out how many hours I have to spend, even though I know that I can change it, and I've given them a hierarchy. I know that the most important thing at the moment is the fitness, and it gets 10 hours. I know that the second most important is the finance, and it gets about 15, and that the bottom of the barrel there is the creative, which is 5 hours a week, which is still a respectable amount of time. That's an hour, 5 days of a week. So I can do that in 2 afternoons of 2.5 hours. I can break that up however I want to. But it gives me an idea when I'm trying to set my weekly schedule as to when I'm going to be doing what. So you might not have 3 businesses, and hopefully you don't, because it's a little bit crazy. But maybe you're taking care of your children at home during the day. Maybe you have a part-time job where you're selling Pampered Chef or Epicure or whatever. Maybe you have a regular job and you want to be able to chunk those times down to have an idea of how much time you want to spend on each thing each week. You don't have to nail down saying on Monday from 10 until 12 I'm working on this. On Tuesday from 3 until 5 I'm working on this. You can do that if you want, but you don't have to. I don't do that. I do it on a weekly basis when I see what other things I have going on, what other events or appointments are happening, so that I can slot things in more easily. But having those allocations of time is really important. It's kind of like what's it called? I was going to say time batching, but that's not it. But time blocking. I know it was a B word, time blocking, but in a more fluid way. Like you have an idea in general of the things that you need to get done, but you don't necessarily put it in a specific place. It's the same thing as how I feel about meal planning. I like to plan out what meals we're going to have for the week, but I don't assign them necessarily to a day. Sometimes I do, but I often just have a list of meals and I just put them under what day works best on that day. I choose the item. I don't like to have such a stringent schedule, because sometimes the day gets away from you and you need to make a frozen pizza even though that wasn't on the schedule until Saturday, say for instance. So just having a fluid idea of what you want to get done. And you can do this if you are a stay-at-home mom, whatever. You can say how many hours a day you want to spend playing with your kids or cleaning or doing laundry or making meals or working on a passion project, whatever. Just sort of figure out how many hours a week you want to work on that thing. So that is the first step into figuring out what to do when you don't know what to do because you have too many things to do. You need to chunk out your time a little bit. Then you need to do a brain dump. There is nothing more useful than a brain dump. When you get out a piece of paper or multiple pieces of paper, for me, I got out 2 because I already kind of have the fitness thing sorted out in my mind. I have a document on my laptop home screen that tells me what things I need to do each week of the month, so I don't have to think about it. I just slot it into those 10 hours. So I did one for the finance, and I did one for the creative, and listed all the things that I needed to get done to finish prep to launch these businesses. It can be anything as small as open bank account, which, as I told you, has been really one of the bigger headaches. It can be as big as launch website. But if you're going to put launch website, you need to break that down further. So what I did is I already had my website up when I wrote out my brain dump. I'm trying to find my paper here. There it is. So what I did is I had website, and then under website, I wrote all of the pages that I needed to create for my website, my about page, my contact, the page that listed all the services that I do, and then pages for each of those services that expand further on it. Just wrote them all out. Wrote everything I could think of that I need to do before I can officially say, yes, the doors are open. I will take you as a client if we're a good match. And then I just said in my schedule during finance time, tackle 3 things on that list. And I just picked 3 things and I started working away at it. And if you're looking at that list that you've made and you can't decide which to choose first, if they're not things that you have to do in a specific order, get yourself out a dice if you have one of those, like more than the 6 regular sides, if your list is longer than 6 things, or open up a random number generator on your phone or computer, random.org, and just put in the number of items on your list, pick generate number, and then do that number. You don't need to make the decision all of the time unless there is an actual hierarchy in which item has to be done first, and then that's where you're going to start. A lot of these things were not dependent on one another. One of them was for me to create a pricing spreadsheet that will help me when I'm pricing out packages for clients. Putting up a frequently asked questions page on my website. Doing another training in QuickBooks on one of the other specialty services they have. These things don't depend on one another. They're completely independent of one another. I could easily throw a dice, use a random number generator to have one chosen for me, and then just do it. Put the numbers in a bowl, get your kids to pick a number, get your husband to pick a number, get your friend to pick a number, pick an item from the list, whatever. Sometimes when you take the choice away from yourself, that's when you can make the most progress. When you sit there looking at the list saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do next. You've taken the first step because you've gotten it out on a page, but you then have to make a choice. So maybe choose not to choose. Choose to let something else choose. Choose to let something else choose. That is really my best tip for you if you are stuck in a frozen position, not knowing what to do next. Write down all the things that you need to get done and either choose one or have someone else choose it for you. If you have things in multiple areas, like I do, chunk them out. Decide how much time each week you want to spend on each specific thing. And then how you divvy up that time over the week is up to you and your schedule and what works for you. And then you can spend your time that way. My schedule for today does not list. It said to record this podcast because I consider this part of the fitness business. But after that, it says complete 2 items from the finance to-do list. And that's it. And then I'm just going to choose, or I'm going to let something else choose for me, and I'm going to go from there. This is also especially helpful if you're having decision fatigue, which I am having so much of. And I think a lot of women are, especially a lot of mothers, because, this pandemic and you've been having to make so many decisions all of the friggin' time, and you're just drained. It's like, please don't make me make another decision. I just cannot do it. Then don't. Write down the whole list, let a random number generator, or close your eyes and put your finger down and point to one, and that's the one you do. Take the decision making out of it. Take it away. Take it away. You decide how many hours you have to spend on each of these things. Then make a master list and go at it from that direction. And another part of this is I find personally that when you are having decision fatigue, when you're already overwhelmed with how much stuff you need to get done, you can fall into that trap of procrastination. And my big procrastination thing has been I want to reorganize my office. Right now, I have 3 desks in my office. It's too many desks. I don't need a desk for every single job. But my sister-in-law gave me a desk that I want to refinish that I haven't yet. And once that's done, I'm going to move the stuff from the desk that I'm sitting at right now over to another desk, so that I'm going to have one like computer work desk and I'm going to have one creative desk. And I've been very stuck in wanting to get that desk refinished, wanting to get rid of this one, and like it will feel like a whole fresh new start when I have my office reorganized and changed around when I'm launching this new business, these new businesses. And I've kind of become somewhat fixated on that, and I've had to let go of that, which is easier said than done, especially if you have ADHD or OCD or something like that, which I don't. But even without it, it's easy to get hyperfixed on something that I really want this office redone. But I've had to just let that go for now. And if I want to work on it during non-work hours, off of those 30 hours that I have allocated for those 3 things, I can, and I have been plugging away at it. But it is not urgent. I can do what I need to do in this room as it sits right now. It would be nice if it was all freshly painted and I had a new wall of bookcases and I got rid of one of these desks and I had everything organized beautifully. But I don't need that done in order to start taking bookkeeping clients. I don't need that done in order to get these fall reads done or to do calligraphy work. It doesn't need to be done. So try to keep that in mind. And that is the beauty of chunking things down, is you're just giving yourself devoted pockets of time focused on a single area. And as much as being in this office while I do those things might make me think, oh, this would be so nice. It'd be so nice if I had my desk oriented that way and it was painted and it was beautiful and yada blah 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 blah. Yes, it would be nice, but you're going to be able to do that once you get some more money rolling in from these new businesses, girl. Like, priorities. So, what to do when you don't know what to do. Number 1, you're going to decide what are the big areas that you have things that you need to get done in each week. For me, we're looking at fitness business, finance business, fonts and florals. Those are my 3 big things. Then we're going to allocate how much time on average are we spending on each of those things per week. Not per day, per week. Unless it's something that happens every single day, like mealtime, then you can allot a certain time each day. Then you're going to do a big old brain dump. And this brain dump, honestly, should happen over the course of a few days or even a week, because you're never going to think of everything all at once. You're going to keep that paper open somewhere on your phone, on your desk, wherever, and every time you think of something to add to it, you add it. It is your master list. Then once you feel like you've got everything on those lists for each of the things, you're going to prioritize them. Is there anything on this list that needs to be done before anything else should be done? What is the most high priority item? You'll take care of that first, and then you're just going to start choosing 1 or 2 items at a time. If you don't want to choose them yourself, you're going to roll a dice. You're going to use random.org. You're going to get a kid or a spouse or a friend to choose it. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to point at the paper and you're going to do that item. You're going to take away that decision making so that you can just do. And since making that master list and just choosing a couple of things, I have gotten more done in the last 3 days than I did in the previous week in less hours, because I just said, okay, it's time to get this done. And then I would just do it instead of thinking, oh my gosh, what should I do? 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 Times infinity. So, what do you do when you don't know what to do? Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully, if nothing else, I make you feel better about your decision making and the state of your mental health or business or whatever. Just sometimes it's nice to know that other people are struggling with the same sort of things you are, and I know that I'm not the only person who gets caught in overwhelm and needs help finding their way through it. So block your time, chunk it out, master lists, then choose no more than 3 on any given day, things from that list to do. And if those 3 things take you 20 minutes total, that's fine. If you want to then tackle something else, go for it. But only expect yourself to tackle up to 3 things on any given day from that list during your chunked time, because if you expect yourself to get more done, you're going to find yourself back in overwhelm. That's it for today, folks. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of September. I will be back the first Friday in October with our next episode, at which point I should, my goodness, have all 3 of these businesses up and running. Fingers crossed for me. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.